Hi guys, welcome to the webinar of working out your break-even target. So as we mentioned in the coaching video that you've watched, really important to get to grips with, what you need to be generating from a revenue perspective for you to, pay your bills, make sure that you're secure in paying your rent, mortgage, food, travel, etc., etc. So it's one of the most important things to kind of start things off when you get into being self-employed is just really understanding the numbers from this basic level. And what we're going to quickly go on to is just how to use that template that's available to work your break-even target out. Um, the one thing I'd say before moving on to kind of how to fill it in is just be open and honest with yourself in don't miss things off. Get a real good clarity on what your outgoings are on a monthly basis, what that means in the implications of tax, and hopefully this sheet, once you filled it in, will give you great feedback on what you need to do and how to break it down, just like we've gone through on the foundation course. So yeah, we'll kind of move on and I'll just take you quickly through how to use a template. Right guys, let's get down to working out your break even and profit goal. Really important area of your business when you're setting it up, and obviously you would have touched on this through the hiring process, and also if you've already been on the foundation course, then you would have gone through this as well. But here's a way of kind of how to keep track of it. Use the templates that we've created for you if you opt in to download them and use them. And obviously it's not locked. The sheet isn't locked, so you can amend and add columns and rows in however way you deem necessary. So I'm just going to take you through a really quick demonstration on how to use it and what to use this template for. So along here you've got outgoings. So in regards to outgoings, this is we've factored in, and we haven't made it so detailed so that we get a big list of your business outgoings and your personal outgoings. We've kind of lumped it all in one. So as the business gets more complex and you've got more expenses, then obviously you can start to differentiate between the two. But the biggest kind of factor moving forward is to make sure that you understand, right, if I need to earn this amount of money in ongoing, then this is what it means to my business regards to number of days working, how much to charge per hour, and what that looks like on a daily and weekly basis in regards to number of sessions. And we will kind of equate this to number of sessions to begin with, and we'll progress the understanding of how to build a service kind of later down the line. So rental mortgage, so this is your own personal rental mortgage. So let's say, for example, my rent is $550 a month, and obviously as you see that's auto populated, so you're filling in all the blue boxes. The formula in this Excel sheet is already there, so that will automatically add up what that means per year. Excuse me. And you've got a running total down the bottom there. Household bills, so let's say £120 a month. Phone, internet, I'm just making these numbers up randomly. Maintenance can mean anything really. If you put a bit of money aside each month to maintain your car, your transport, anything like that at all. So let's say 25 quid. Travel, so if you use public transport, you got monthly passes, or if you use your car, so if I've got my car, it's insurance, it's tax, unfortunately, and obviously cost of petrol, etc. So let's say that's maybe 150 a month. Health outgoings, so any supplements, healthcare, anything like that, say 20 quid a month. Education, if you this is an important factor actually. I might go into a little bit of context around. First of all, if you're joining self-employed world as a PT and you're paying off your level 3 course in installments, that would go into there. If you're about to take on a course, that would go into there. Or if you want to save a bit of cash towards kind of the end of the year to invest into a CPD or whatever that may be, then obviously you can factor that in because that's a quite important thing. So let's just go, for example, I'm paying off my level 3. Holidays. So if you want to put a bit of money aside for holidays every month, Pure Gym rent. So let's say I've got a rent of 125 a month. Child maintenance, 0. Credit cards, hopefully it's 0. Savings, if you want to factor in, savings per month. Membership or subscription. So if you use My PT Hub, if you've got like Netflix, anything like that. So let's whack that in. And food, probably our biggest expense in a month. So in fact, just put that in for a quick example. So as you can see here, the blue boxes are filled in. It's totaled it up for me on a yearly basis. So when you're trying to earn more money or you're trying to have more disposable cash, then I would say the first thing to look at is, is there anything in there where I'm overspending? Is there anything in there where actually I don't really need? If you're paying, for example, I paid for Virgin for the last year, and I never sit down and watch like normal TV. It's either a film or Netflix. So I've cancelled that, which essentially is saving me 500 quid a year. So stuff like that you can really kind of play around with. And you can really understand that. So moving over here onto this other side, you've got your break-even calculation. So total revenue per month is 1495. So that covers my outgoings, as you can see down here. But we've also factored in, which I would recommend you start to think about early doors, is your contribution and your tax responsibilities. Now, obviously going into being self-employed, there's a certain amount of time where what you've got to obviously build your business up, start to create more revenue, and there's certain tax breaks and bandings that kind of apply. But saying that, getting in a good habit of understanding what that money would look like with tax coming out is an important factor. So what we've done is taken your break-even number and then the formula automatically adds in 25% tax, which generally if you're between, I think it's roughly around 12 to let's say 43, 45 grand a year, you'll be paying about 20% income tax. Obviously, when you do your tax return and you get your VAT back for your company, then obviously that'll probably be a little bit less than 20%, but let's just factor 20% in as a ballpark figure, and 5% will take care of your national insurance contributions. So in total, my break-even number, covering all of this down here, plus a contribution to tax, which would maybe put into a separate bank account, is 1,868.75 per month. Okay, so in this little blue box here, I'm going to pop in, I charge £30 an hour. So this automatically gives you number of hours I need to deliver per calendar month to achieve that revenue. So 62 sessions a month I would need to deliver and get paid for to earn that amount of money, which seems, reasonable if you then break it down into number of hours per week, which is just 15, which is okay, great. And then in this little blue box here, then let's figure out, right, if I want to work a 5-day week, what does that mean to me on a daily basis? So essentially, if I deliver 3 personal training sessions a day at £30 an hour, 5 days a week, I am making that money and breaking even. Brilliant. That, in my opinion, in our opinion, would be the first kind of focus point for you to think about, because let's be honest, if you're working towards becoming self-employed and running a sustainable business, then you need to earn the money to cover your bills, to get you secure essentially. The only other thing I wanted to mention in this is if you have a secondary job, I would start to understand, maybe even put a column in here in regards to, right, what do I need to earn to basically match that secondary job, and what do I need to earn above and beyond that to get where I want to be? So again, if you've got a secondary job, you can play around with this, maybe change one of those columns there. Really important there to factor in, but hopefully that's kind of broken things down for you a little bit easier than originally kind of looking at that number or that number and going, oh my gosh, that's a lot I have to kind of get to in a short space of time. But realistically, you're talking kind of 3 hours a day, which is great. So if we then move on to your break even number here, I'll just caveat along a little bit. So we've got our profit margin. Okay, so essentially it's obviously including your break even number. So let's say, for example, and you can call this a number of different things, and I'll go over it in the goal setting webinar about the meaning behind this, because you could throw out lots of different numbers here. But let's say, for example, I want to earn £3,500 per month. Okay, so £3,500 per month would bring me in roughly around £42,000, which would be kind of that, you'd be up to that, nearly that threshold of your tax, which will, we'll go on to on a different point. But let's just say £42,000 a year I would want to earn, which, let's be honest, a lot of the kind of ads of level 3s and training providers kind of promote that type of number. So that's nearly double of what your break-even number is. So obviously the break-even number is to be really focusing on getting there within this kind of 3-month period to hit that number. And obviously the business coach will facilitate and coach you all the way through that process of building your business up. Let's say 12 months down the line, I've broken even, or you're breaking even after kind of 3 months, and you're building up to this £3,500 a month. So there's a number of different ways you can do this. Obviously you can follow suit in regards to, right, I still want to work 5 days a week, great, but maybe on my hourly rate is the same. Okay, so as you can see there, it obviously then calculates what you'd need to then break even. Okay, so essentially what you can do, and this is cool to play around with, to give you some feedback on, actually that's what, 36 hours a week of PT, which is a lot of personal training in 1 week. So immediately I can start to kind of get some feedback here. What if I do that and I charge £35 an hour? So immediately that brings it down 5 hours per week. So 20 less personal training sessions a month. Now, obviously it's advantageous. Yeah, you can start to get a good work-life balance. You can maybe invest some more time into a different service, different product, even better. Even if you go 37.50, look how that makes a difference there. And I know that may look like small, but like that's, again, compared to what we were earning at £30, that's a huge difference. All that is technically another £7.50 per hour per client. Okay, which if you really kind of tally it up, what we're talking there, it's an extra £45 a month per client on average. Let's say that £45-60. So again, this is enabling you to get some feedback and get a bit of an understanding of where you're at. But this is one of the most crucial things that we can do as a self-employed PT, is just really have a good grasp of what we need first and what you need to kind of be sustainable and to have a bit of security moving into the business. So now understand, how to kind of use that. It's giving you a breakdown of how to use the sheet and how to formulate it, and also some key considerations. As I said at the start, be honest with yourself. Don't leave anything out, because obviously that will sting you if you don't account for it in your business. The devil's in the detail, so look to the detail. The more detail you can get, the more clarity you're going to have on what you need to be delivering from a PT perspective, week on week, month on month. And moving on to kind of the next webinar, is this break-even number and your profit goal number should almost give you the foundational structure of your schedule, which obviously I won't go into now, but it will kind of compound into the next webinar on that. Thanks, guys.